The night was quiet. Jude lay awake in bed and looked at the ceiling. The faint light from a lantern outside fell through the curtain and drew a pale streak across the wall. He had come home late. His coat was still hanging over a chair, carelessly laid down when he came in. The smell of coffee from the cafe seemed to still cling to his clothes. He closed his eyes. There was no peace. He heard voices from the hallway, soft at first, then clearer. Mary and Sammy. He sat up straight. The words were not angry, but there was something in Mary's voice that he recognized. Wariness. Jude stood up and walked to the bedroom door. The floor creaked softly under his feet. In the living room, Mary and Sammy stood by the table. Mary had her arms crossed. Sammy sat on a chair with her knees folded beneath her. In her hands, she held the little red bear, as always. Mary looked up when Jude came in. "You are finally home," she said. Jude nodded slowly. "I couldn't sleep." Mary looked at him for a few seconds, long enough to show that this conversation had been on her mind for a while. "Jude," she said calmly, "this can't go on like this anymore." He said nothing. She continued, "You go to church. You talk to people. You try to help everyone." She made a small gesture with her hand. "But here at home, you are there less and less." The words hung in the air for a moment. Sammy looked from one to the other. The little bear pressed tightly against her. Mary took a deep breath. "You have to choose, Jude." He frowned. "To elect?" Mary nodded slowly. "Between them or us?" The room suddenly felt smaller. "Mary." But she shook her head. "I'm not saying you do bad things," she said, "but you live as if you are responsible for the whole world." She looked at Sammy. "But you have a family." Jude looked at his daughter. Sammy played with the edge of her sleeve, the little bear wiggling on her lap. Mary picked up her bag from the table. "I'm going to my parents for a few days," she said. "With Sammy." Jude looked at her. "Mary." She paused at the door for a moment. "Think about it," she said. "Maybe you should also think about what is really important." Sammy stood up from the chair. She held the little red bear tightly, ready to go with Mary. But in the rush of the moment, it happened. The little bear slipped from her hands. It fell to the ground, softly, almost silently. Sammy looked at it, wanted to bend down to pick it up, but Mary took her hand. "Come, darling," Mary said softly. "We're going." Sammy looked back one last time at the little bear lying on the floor. His black, beady eyes stared at the ceiling. Lonely. Lost. "Dad," she began. Jude looked at the little bear on the ground, at his daughter standing by the door, her hand in Mary's, at the emptiness that was to come. He didn't know why he did it, but his legs moved before his head could think. He bent down, picked up the little bear, and walked towards her. He knelt down before the door. He held the little bear out to her, his eyes moist. "Here," he said softly. "You mustn't forget this one." Sammy's face lit up. She grabbed the little bear and clutched it against herself. For a moment, she looked at her father with her big, serious eyes. Then she said, in that small, simple tone of hers, "Dad, are you going to do any good things today?" Jude felt something pull in his chest. He smiled, even though he didn't know if it was real. "I hope so, sweetie." She nodded, as if that were enough, and turned back to Mary. Mary opened the door. The cold air from outside came in for a moment. She looked at Jude one last time, not angry, but tired. "See you later," she said softly. The door closed. Jude stayed behind, alone in the silent hallway. Sammy's words lingered, like an echo that wouldn't go away. "Dad, are you going to do any good things today?" He looked at his hands, empty now. But deep down, he felt something. Something small. Something vulnerable. A beginning. He walked back to the living room, to the empty chair, to the silence, and for the first time that day, he knew that the choice Mary had spoken of was closer than he had ever thought.